Level 1. The new fish. The door closes behind you and the sound it makes is not a slam, it is a click. That click is the most important sound you will ever hear because it is the last sound of your old life, and you do not know that yet. You are wearing clothes that do not belong to you. The ones you came in with are in a plastic bag somewhere in a room you will never find. They gave you a number, not a name, a number. And the first thing the system does is watch you decide whether to flinch at that. You flinch. Everyone does at level 1. That is what level 1 is for. The block is louder than you expected and quieter than you feared. Men move through it with a practiced economy of motion that you do not yet have. You move like someone walking through a room where they cannot find the light switch. Everyone clocks it. No one says anything, yet. The rules at level 1 are not written anywhere. They are transmitted through consequence. You sit in the wrong seat at dinner and a man looks at you for 3 seconds without expression and you move. You do not know why you moved. Your body understood before your mind did. That is the first lesson. Your body is going to learn this place faster than your brain will, and you need to let it. You have nothing at level 1. No commissary, no connections, no reputation, no read on who matters and who performs mattering. You are a blank page, and every man on the block is reading you to decide what to write there. Sleep does not come easy the first week. You lie on the mattress that is 3 inches thick and you think about the life that was moving at full speed when you were extracted from it. You think about it the way you think about a film you watched once, vivid in flashes, unreliable in sequence. You stop thinking about it by week 3, not because it hurts less, because the block has its own gravity, and it pulls your attention toward the present with a force that does not negotiate. You are surviving. That is all level 1 asks. For now. Level 2, the observer. By month 2, you have stopped flinching at the click. You have learned 14 names and the rough architecture of how they connect. You know that the man called Reeves controls the East Corridor commissary flow, and that his second is a quiet guy named Fitch who does the actual counting. You know that the guard on day rotation named Daniels skips the northeast corner of the block on his 4 p.m. walk because his knee gives him trouble, and he compensates by cutting the route. You know this because you watched. You have been doing nothing but watching. At level 2, you are not yet an operator. You are an analyst. And in a closed system, pure observation is a form of power that nobody thinks to protect against, because nobody expects a new fish to be patient enough to use it. You make one friend. His name is Carol, and he has been here 6 years, and he reads you accurately in about 48 hours. He does not offer friendship. He offers orientation, which is a different transaction. In exchange for listening, actually listening, not performing it, he tells you things, which guards can be moved, which inmates run debt. Where the camera housing on the B-Wing corridor has been cracked since a pipe burst 18 months ago, and the work order has been deferred twice. You file every piece of this away without writing any of it down. Because at level 2, you understand something that level 1 could not have taught you. Information is the only currency that cannot be taken during a cell toss. You are building something. You do not have a name for it yet, but the shape of it is becoming clear. Level 3, the earner. You have been here 11 months when you make your first move. Whitfield runs a maintenance request queue as part of his work assignment. You have spent 3 months making him feel seen, asking about his daughter, remembering the name of his attorney, laughing at the right moments. It costs you nothing except time, and time is the one resource you have in unlimited supply. When you ask him to file a specific inspection order under a routine HVAC classification, he does it without asking why. Because people do things for people they trust, and trust in a closed system is built not with grand gestures but with accumulated small ones. The owner creates a window, 40 minutes of legitimate maintenance access to a corridor that the camera grid does not cover completely. You don't use it yet. You let it expire unused. You are not ready. But you needed to know it worked. That is level 3. You test systems without triggering them. You prove capacity without deploying it. You also start moving small items. Nothing criminal, nothing that escalates your situation. Information, mostly. You tell Reeves something about Fitch's outside communication that Reeves did not know, and Reeves gives you commissary credit without being asked. You did not frame it as a trade. That is important. Trades can be refused. Gifts create obligation. You cleared $200 in commissary value in 1 month, without being visible as someone who operates. You have no title, no crew, no flag. You are nobody. You are everywhere. Level 3 is the most dangerous level to stay at too long, because comfort here creates complacency. You have enough to be okay, enough to stop pushing. Some men spend years at level 3 because okay is seductive inside a system designed to make everything worse than okay. You do not stop pushing. Level 4, the architect. You have 4 people, not allies, components. Terrence, who is an electrician before his conviction and who understands the facility's camera infrastructure the way a surgeon understands the body, not with passion, with precision. Peril, who has outside contacts operating through a letterhead that monitoring flags as a used bookstore in Tucson, and who has never once given you a reason to doubt his follow-through. Whitfield, who does not know he is part of anything and who never will. And a man named Ortega in your cell, who has been planning something similar for 3 years alone, and who, when you finally laid the framework out for him one night in the dark in 12 quiet sentences, said nothing for 4 minutes, and then said, "Thursday maintenance window. I know the bracket on the north wall. 4 people is not a crew. 4 people is a mechanism. At level 4, you are not surviving the system. You are reverse engineering it. Every rule has a gap. Every schedule has a variance. Every human being responsible for enforcement has a consistent inefficiency. The facility does not fail dramatically. It fails in small, boring, budgetary ways. A sensor housing approved for replacement that falls off the priority list. A guard with a knee problem. A software loop in a monitoring system running on a contract that expired in 2019 and was quietly renewed at reduced scope. You find all of it. You map it. You hold it. The plan at level 4 is not a plan yet. It is a library, a collection of verified facts arranged in a sequence that could, under specific aligned conditions, produce a specific outcome. You are not yet pulling the trigger. You are loading the weapon with the patience of someone who understands that a misfired plan inside a federal correctional facility is not a setback. It is a decade added. You clear nothing financially at level 4. This is not about money. This has never been about money. It is about the 11-month exoneration timeline that became 30 months and is now approaching 4 years, and the form letter you received last Tuesday acknowledging that your case has been transferred to a new review board and that processing may take an additional 18 to 24 months. You sit with that letter in your hands for a long time. Then you go back to the library in your head and you begin refining. Level 5, the point of no return. The Thursday arrives. You do not feel what you expected to feel. You expected adrenaline. What you feel instead is a kind of clarifying stillness. The same thing you used to feel at the moment a freight routing problem finally resolved. Not excitement, but the quiet satisfaction of a complex system clicking into alignment. Whitfield filed the order 48 hours ago. Terrence confirmed the loop timing, 40 seconds of camera irregularity that reads as normal static variation to monitoring software that was last calibrated under a budget cycle that no longer exists. Carol's contact outside is in a legitimate maintenance vehicle with plates that will survive a standard check. Ortega walks 3 steps ahead of you. The corridor is exactly what the maintenance report described. Concrete, copper pipe, recycled air. Terrence works the panel without theatrics. The loop engages. You move. 11 minutes. That is the window from panel access to wall clearance. You have rehearsed it without rehearsing it. Walked every component route under separate legitimate pretexts across 4 months so that your movement through the actual sequence feels, to your body, like a route you have always known. At level 5, the psychological shift is this. You become someone who has chosen, consciously and without coercion, to break a law. You entered this system as a man who had not done that. That version of you ends in this corridor at a point you cannot identify precisely, somewhere between the panel and the wall, in 11 minutes of committed forward motion. You don't pause at it. Pausing is a luxury that the 40-second window cannot accommodate, but you register it. The way you might register the moment a door swings past vertical and begins closing under its own weight. The wire on the north wall bracket catches your forearm. The cut is long and clean. You drop. Level 6. The ghost. You are outside the walls and the world does not look the way you remembered it. You are in the maintenance vehicle moving at 32 miles per hour through a service road that intersects a state highway in 6 minutes. Ortega is next to you. Carol's contact, a composed man named Drayden who speaks only when necessary, is driving. Nobody says anything. There is nothing to say. You are in motion, and motion is the only correct state right now. At level 6, you are a ghost. You do not exist in any system. Your name is in a federal database as an escaped inmate. Your face is in a bolo that will reach every law enforcement node in the state within the hour. You have $340 in cash that Ortega sourced through Carol's network, a burner phone, and a contact, a journalist named Reyes who covers federal wrongful conviction cases and who, when you call her from a motel outside a mid-sized city, does not hang up. She listens for 40 minutes. She asks 3 questions. Her third question is, can you prove it? You say yes, because you have been building the proof for 4 years. Because the erroneous warrant cross-reference, the unsigned override, the supervisor who approved without reading, you have names, dates, document numbers, all of it stored in the maintenance log of your memory, filed under the same methodical system you use to coordinate freight across 14 time zones. At level 6, you are the most dangerous version of yourself, not because you have power, but because you have nothing left to calculate against. The cost has already been paid. The mortgage is gone. The marriage is over. Your daughter is 11, and she is building a life that is filling in around your absence the way water fills around a stone. You are free, and you are a fugitive, and those 2 words have never been further apart. You do not stay in the motel. You are already moving when Reyes calls back. Level 7, the leverage 3 weeks out. The story runs. Not front page, it rarely is, not immediately. But it runs in a form that creates a specific kind of pressure on specific people whose names are in the filing. The clerk whose cross-reference error initiated your wrongful conviction. The supervisor. The Federal Review Board that has been deferring your case across 4 years and 3 administrations. Reyes is careful. She does not publish your location. She does not publish the escape route. She publishes the warrant, the original filing error, the internal documentation trail that shows 3 separate points at which the system could have corrected itself and chose, through inaction, not to. At level 7, the system that imprisoned you is now trying to manage you as a public relations problem, which is a fundamentally different category of problem than the one you were 4 weeks ago. Your attorney, the original one who stopped returning calls, files an emergency motion. A second attorney, one attached to a civil liberties organization that Reyes connected you with, files a parallel petition. The Federal Review Board that deferred your case 3 times schedules an expedited hearing within 10 days of the story running. You are not present at any of this. You are moving through a network of people who owe Carol favors or who owe Carol's contacts favors, staying in places that do not require identification, eating food that costs less than you think about, spending 4 hours a day on a burner phone coordinating with the attorney and with Reyes and with a former federal clerk who has agreed to testify about the filing process. Level 7 is the level where you understand that the escape was never the plan. The escape was the mechanism that created the conditions for the actual plan. Leverage is only leverage when it is applied to something that can move. The system can move. It moves slowly and reluctantly and with maximum resistance, but it moves. You call your daughter on a Tuesday, she picks up after 2 rings. She says your name, not dad. Your name, and the way she says it is the sound of someone who was not sure they would get to say it again. You do not cry on the call because you are at a level where crying is a physiological event you have largely decoupled from its triggers. But something in your chest does a thing that you do not have a word for. You tell her it is almost over. Level 8, the settlement. 4 months and 11 days after you went over the wall, the exoneration is not a ceremony, it is a document. It arrives through your attorney's office in a standard email with a PDF attachment and 3 signature fields and language so bureaucratic it barely acknowledges that a man's life was suspended for 4 years and 3 months on the basis of a clerical error that was identified, flagged, and ignored at 3 separate institutional junctures. The federal case against you for the escape is reduced through negotiation time served, the civil suit your attorney files, simultaneously making further prosecution politically unviable. You walk out of a building that is not a prison. You walk into a parking lot. Ortega is not there. Carol is not there. Terrence is serving additional time because the loop was traced back to him and he understood there was always the probable outcome when he agreed to it. You think about that on the drive to wherever you are going next. At level 8, you are not a legend. Legends require an audience. You are something quieter. You are a man who spent 4 years learning how a closed system works, who dismantled it from inside using patience and information and the willingness to treat every constraint as a scheduling problem, and who then spent 4 months outside it applying the same methodology to a different kind of structure. You are free. You are also permanently altered by the process of becoming free, and the alteration is not romantic. It is simply true. Your daughter is 12. You have missed more of her life than you will allow yourself to calculate. She is not at the parking lot either, because you asked her mother not to bring her yet, because you need to be a person again before you can beat her father again, and you are not yet sure how long that takes. You sit in the car. You look at nothing in particular. The system that held you is still running. Other men are in it right now. Some of them are guilty of the things they are held for. Some of them are not. All of them are being processed with equal indifference by a machine that does not distinguish between those two populations, because distinction costs more than the budget cycle allocates for it. You do not feel angry about this. You are past anger. Anger is a level 2 emotion. What you feel is something closer to the stillness you felt in the corridor on the Thursday, the click of a complex system reaching alignment. Somewhere in a county lockup 3 states from here, a man is sitting on a bunk on his 4th day in a system he does not understand yet. He is watching the room with the specific attention of someone whose old life has just been archived. He is starting to count things: guards, cameras, schedules, names. He thinks the counting is just a coping mechanism. It isn't. He'll figure that out. You did.